Hey guys, my name is Chuck Clabo. I'm going to be starting off, so let's pray before we get started. Father, thank you so much for this time. Thank you so much for Tim and Sarah putting so much time and effort into this. And Lord, I pray that we would just honor you with this talk. Give us the words to say. And Lord, I just pray that we would learn something out of this, and that we would just learn how to walk with you. And because we're up against the enemy. And Lord, help us fight. Thank you so much in Jesus' name. All right, guys. My name is Chuck Clabo. I'm new to the church here, and I have been. I've dealt with this subject for a long, long time. In my own life. And about 8 years, I got clean. And so about 8 years ago, I started working with the youth. I've been working with 6th, 7th, and 8th graders mostly. And want to tell you a few stories. We've got a lot of homeschoolers here. We got a lot of people here that have been in church their whole lives. And you don't think this is a problem. But this is a problem. I'm going to tell you a story about a young man named Adam. And Adam his family is spot on. You talk about mom just was awesome. Dad was awesome. Their whole family, they didn't miss church. They homeschooled from day one until he graduated from high school. Well, he came up to me when he was 13 years old. And he goes, Chuck, I'm struggling. I said, what's going on? He goes, I've been watching porn. I said, okay. And I said, how often? He goes, twice a day. I said, he goes, twice a day, every day. And I said, for how long? And he goes, 2 years. He was 13 years old. He's 13, so that means he was 11. And he didn't have a phone. He didn't have a phone. How did he get it? There was an old phone that they weren't using anymore that had Wi-Fi. And that's how he got it. So I went to him, I said, all right, how are we going to fix this? And he goes, I don't know. And I said, I got a way, but you ain't going to like it. I said, we need to tell your parents. And he goes, I don't know if I can do that. And I said, what if I'm there with you? And he goes, okay. So we go through camp and we get back. And so I got mom, dad, Adam. And so I'm standing there and it's getting awkward. So I'm looking at him, looking at his parents, looking at him, and he's looking at everywhere you can think of. And so it's like, so you gonna tell him? And he goes, and I said, do you want me to tell him? He goes, yes. I said, well, he's been looking at things he ain't supposed to be looking at. And she goes, I thought something was wrong. And guys, this is coming into our homes through every device that we have, anything that they can get on the internet with, it can happen. And especially these stupid phones, I'm not a big fan. And I've got another young man, 12 years old, same thing, got messed up into it. And, but just think about Adam. Adam is a good kid. He's a great kid. And he got caught up in it. And it's one of those things that this is real. And we are fighting an enemy. And he's going to use anything and everything to get into our homes. And it will. If you don't allow it. Geez, I can't even play stupid games. I play a word game and I'll get something popped up. And I know if you've been on a phone, you've got it, especially men. And it's coming. And it's coming for us. So I want to introduce Tim Badalato, and there you go. Thanks.
Thanks, Chuck. So we'll go ahead and let me move us on to the first slide. So about us, we're 14 years into the fight to raise godly kids and shield them from the dangers of tech and guide them through it. I'm a software engineer. I deal with tech all day long. I'm staring at a screen. It's my job. And so I'm developing software and running a business. And I grew up on the internet. I remember when we got dial-up as a kid and stuff. It was a big deal. I was enamored with the internet and, started playing online video games and was really into that stuff. And I still love technology. It's more, as a father, technology is, it's a conflicted thing because we see so many dangers that have been brought about by something that could be more of a blessing than it has been for us. So, as a kid, growing up on the internet, we didn't have filters and stuff. I don't even know if they had that back then, but we were just kind of released. We were the guinea pigs, the first ones in the 90s to have, personal computers and be really online. And I was exposed to a lot of really bad stuff from friends and gaming culture. Just, there's a lot of vile conversations and things shared and stuff. And then, that led into pornography and different stuff like that. So Sarah, on the other hand, she was basically Amish growing up. So I'll let her share her story.
For the way our dial-up worked, might as well.
Is your mic on?
Yeah, it's on. Is it working? Oh, that's uncomfortable. Okay. Yeah, we might as well have been Amish. So our dial-up internet was about the worst thing you've ever seen. It would take 30 minutes to send a message. It would take 25 minutes to get one back. And after a conversation like, how are you? Fine, how are you? Taking 45 minutes, there's just no point. So most of my computer usage was typing up reports and playing Age of Empires after a very long list of miserable chores in the summer.
So our disclaimer, support for low tech or no tech. If you choose to limit or avoid tech, that's fantastic. We're not here to convince you that tech is something that you need to inject into your lives and give everyone a smartphone. We think it's amazing if you're low tech or you haven't brought that into your parenting. We're not trying to change your mind. You guys are the authorities. We're not. We're just fellow parents. We've been doing research. I might be in tech, but that doesn't mean that I'm the expert on this stuff. The landscape is a dumpster fire and it's constantly changing. So we're just, all of us as parents, we kind of need to be each other's support and share what we're learning and what the newest thing is out there or what's happening, because it's always evolving and moving so fast. And with AI, I'm guessing that it's probably going to get even crazier as we go and we see what that means. So we're learning too. So please, share with us, and don't let us, necessarily change your mind. We're trying to share what we've learned to hopefully inform how you guys navigate some of this stuff.
So Proverbs 22:6 says, "Train up a child in the way that he should go, and when he is older, he will not turn from it." Sorry. Oh, it's back there. That's so handy. Yeah, we really should have practiced a little bit more. All right, next slide, please. All right, so our philosophy on tech is that it should glorify God, just like every other aspect of our lives. The best way you guys can do this is take your computers, your iPads, your cell phones, put them in a big trash bag, and go take it to the dump. But if you're not ready to have my kind of childhood, there's training. Next. All right, common questions. What is the right age to give your child a smartphone, and what is the right age for social media? We need to change this question, right? This needs to be, how can I give my child the best childhood, right? They only get one childhood. No parent, I promise you, no parent is walking around wishing they had given their children social media accounts earlier. It just does not happen. So this is our 5-part framework for managing tech in the home. The first part is be the example. Then we'll move into prioritize relationships, delay addictive tech, diligently prevent harm, and advocate for change. So, Deuteronomy 6:5-9, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your might. And these words that I command you today shall be on your heart. You shall teach them diligently to your children, and shall talk to them when you sit in your house, when you walk by the way, when you lie down, and when you rise. You shall bind them as a sign on your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. You shall write them on the doorposts of your houses and on your gates. So train up a child in the way that you should go, and be sure to go that way yourself, right? Charles Spurgeon said that. It's a good quote. One of the best ways we can be the example to our children is to disciple them, right? They need the gospel over and over and over and over again, and after they say they're a Christian, keep doing it anyway, right? When they have that love for God, this gets so much easier. They have those repentant hearts, and they want to please God. They want to love what God loves and hate what God hates, and then they're on your side versus against you. So what are we doing when we are sitting, when we are walking, when we rise, and when we go to sleep? Most of us are on cell phones, right? I sit on the couch and I'm like, ooh, what's on Zillow? Some people are on Facebook, I'm on Zillow, right? Not great. What about when you go to bed? You know, you check your phone. Did I get a message before bed? And when you get up, you usually get up to an alarm clock, most of us on our phones, right? So tech is clearly competing in our lives for our attention. Next slide, please. All right, be the example. Do you guys want your kids to use their devices as often as you do, or how you do, or when you do, or where you do? We really need to be the example, and so things are caught more than taught. And if you're watching things that you don't want your 16-year-old watching, there's a good chance you need to ask yourselves, should I be watching this? And there are plenty of things out there where it's like, oh, that movie would be so great if it wasn't for this 5-minute scene. There are filtering services like VidAngel and ClearPlay. So even just like Tim and I use it probably more for ourselves than we do for the kids. You can go through and cut out that type of content. And then if you do that with your kids, just do tell them, hey, this is a movie we only watch at Dad and Mom's house and stuff. So Philippians 4:8 talks about, we should set our minds on whatever is pure and holy, right? Next slide.
So, how is the American church doing on being the example? Well, let's take a look. Christian men, how we doing? 68% watch porn regularly. That's insane. But is pornographied as our culture is, and it being everywhere you look, it's not a huge shock. But we are called to be better. Christian women, this is really surprising to me. 33% age 18 to 30 seek out porn at least monthly.
And guys, that's not just videos too. There are the novels, like some of those old novels. You can tell by the cover what's going to be in that book. That is just as bad.
Yeah.
Just saying. And that's not part of the statistic either.
Right. Children, 57% of teens search for porn monthly. Average age of exposure is 11 years old. And the youngest children in the study were 7. So kids as young as 7. I mean, you have to prepare your children that by the age of 7, that they know what to do when they're exposed to something like this, to come to you, to quickly look away. And if they're not trained to do this, then they're going to get caught.
Every man's life matters infinitely more than he could wildly imagine, for good or for evil. If you don't slay violently the Leviathan of sin in your heart, you will feed it, and what you hand to your kids will be a bigger, stronger enemy.
So when dad is fighting his own sin, you're not just fighting for you, dude.
Bro, you're fighting for generations. I have never met a man who struggled with pornography who we did not find out later his father had an addiction to pornography. When you're fighting to slay dragons and when you're fighting to break the bondage of sin or addiction, you're not just doing it for yourself, you're doing it for generations to come. Because the same is true as generational blessing. There's no middle ground. You're going to either hand to your children curses or blessing, bondage or freedom, hell or heaven.
Our theology says this, right?
Yeah.
So our first father, Adam, and the Bible talks about how that spiritual seed gets passed father to father to father. Well, so every human gets past that generational curse of sin from first father Adam, except one.
That's right.
The only one who
better
didn't
Adam.
have a physical father.
Let's go.
Man, there's an encouragement there for fathers and mothers. Like when you are working on your own sanctification, you're slaying your own dragons. If you need extra motivation, you're fighting for all of your progeny.
That's right.
I'm fighting for every person that comes in the rest of my family tree right
fight
now.
For your family. Our men have to get a generational vision for the impact their life will make.
There it is.
Satan wants you to think hour to hour, day to day, picture to picture, swipe to swipe. The mind shaped by the word of God will not think swipe to swipe, but will think generation to generation.
Mm-hmm.
That's how we have to think. The fool thinks about this, the wise thinks about down the road.
Okay. So as we see here, we're all in a battle, not just fathers, but also mothers, and fathers as the spiritual leaders of our homes. And we are under almost heavier attack. The whole family is under attack, but the fathers, if Satan can make us fall, he's got the whole family. If we're compromising ourselves by looking at pornography and giving into that, we are giving that's gonna break into our home. Even if we think it's secret, no one knows, it's just us. It's rotting away at you. It's going to affect your family. It's going to affect your marriage. If you look at the stats, which, we'll go ahead and just look at the next video.
Porn use and other unwanted sexual behaviors can stunt a person's growth and rob them from living a full and satisfying life. Porn stunts your growth relationally as it trains your brain to prefer fake people over real people. Emotionally, because you medicate your emotions instead of processing them. Spiritually, because the Bible says that lust wages war against the soul. And sexually, because porn use causes numerous sexual dysfunctions. No wonder porn has had a devastating impact on marriages. Recent research reveals that if a married couple starts watching porn, they are 2 to 3 times more likely to divorce than those who don't. These are a few of the reasons to stop a porn habit, but when most try to stop, they can't because they're addicted. The Freedom Fight is designed to equip you with proven principles of recovery so you can break free from porn or other unwanted sexual behaviors. Chemical dependency and brain science are still important factors in a porn addiction, which is why the Freedom Fight will examine them along with other crucial elements that must be addressed to bring freedom from a porn or sex addiction. Whether you go through the Freedom Fight individually or in a small group, the app and website enable you to send your check-ins to your accountability. Each of our videos will unpack principles of recovery that have a proven track record of setting people free. Whether you are looking for help in your own battle for purity or you just want to be equipped to help others, join us in the Freedom Fight.
The Freedom Fight is something I share because it helped me in our marriage. Several years ago, I was actually researching this stuff to lock down our own internet. And as I was testing different software and stuff and realizing how bad a lot of the parental controls are and how well they don't work, because I was exposed over and over. This is a dragon in my life that God slayed when I was 17. I was heavily addicted to porn since I was exposed at 7. And God had radically set me free from that sin. Throughout our marriage, God has protected me and kept me safe from that. And it was through little tiny exposures and over time. And I would come to Sarah and be like, honey, I was working on this thing. I saw something, and we had a conversation and stuff. And and I was going to make sure that that didn't happen again. And I would be testing, and I was like, I'm still doing this research project, and I was exposed a few other times. And what happened is it reactivated that pathway. There is neural pathways. Whenever I was a kid, especially, I was training my brain. It was creating pathways in my brain that made these things almost automatic, so that when I saw them, the dopamine and stuff just took over, and you're like automatic. You can't look away. It's like you're just locked on to that image. And I was researching it, and it hit me, and I had to go to Sarah and be like, hey, I looked too long, and that terrified me. And so we went through, it was a really hard year at that point, because I had broken her trust, and we went through a process, and I wanted her to be my accountability partner. Sometimes it's good to have, fellow men. I welcome that. If I welcome more accountability partners, even maybe a group, I think that'd be great. I think that every church needs that ministry, and I'd love to be a part of it. But the Freedom Fight is highly recommended. It's free. You can, right on your Bible app right now, they have a Bible plan. That's the Freedom Fight that you can sign up, use for free, use their website, and they have software and stuff. But it was really key in me retraining my brain to close off that pathway, and to starve it out, and to be extremely careful and communicate. I have daily check-ins with Sarah, and so we've been through a lot with that. But God has been faithful to repair our relationship and our marriage. And, we're now stronger for it, but it is still a battle. We're still fighting that, and it's still there. It's everywhere. We go to the pool, and so now thongs are like the big thing. It's everywhere. And so training myself not to be in those situations, to not look, to bounce my eyes and stuff. It's just seems like it's getting worse in our culture. So,
what's great about the lake is you can't see the bottom half of people. Just saying.
Yeah, we usually skip the pool and go to the lake now.
All right, so part 2, prioritizing relationships. Next slide. All right, bond over tech. You guys can use tech with your kids, right? You can enhance your family worship. You can play games together, watch news, learn new skills, but use it as a means of bonding. And be transparent. Like, our kids should understand what we're doing, right? First of all, you should have all of your kids' passwords if they have passwords. Your spouse should have each other's, you should have each other's passwords. And when your kids are older, when they're teenagers, if applicable, it might be a good idea to share your passwords with them, because you really shouldn't have anything to hide, except for maybe Christmas presents and stuff. But also model intentional use. When you are going to be on your computer or on tech and you're not including your children, tell them what you're doing. Like, hey, I've got a Zoom call. I'm going to be in my office for an hour doing this. Or, hey, I need to work on this research report and stuff for a bit. Just let them see that you are using tech productively. All right, open communication. Our kids need to know that we love them and that they can come to us with anything, right? Even if those things make us uncomfortable. And if that is the case, try to hide that a little bit if you can. Also, you want to demonstrate that you are the person that they want to go to, right? They should want to come tell you things. And that's a lot easier for them if you let your gentleness be evident, right? If you freak out when they do bring stuff to you, you are training them not to come to you. All right, connection. An undiscovered heart is an unknown heart. We have to spend time bonding with our children and really getting to know them for who they are. And, oftentimes this is better done outside of tech. Yes, use tech as bonding, but also have other bonding time. One of the things I like to do is I like to take the kids on errands with me, but like just one-on-one. And if they can tell that you are truly invested in them as an individual, they will tell you everything. Maybe even to the point of annoyance. Ooh, let me throw in my notes. All right, next slide. All right, so did we get, hold on, I lost my place here. Too much? All right. All right, delaying addictive tech, part 3.
All right, so this is me. All right, so not all screen time is created equal. I don't know if you guys knew this, but a device you hold in your hand is different from your TV, and which is different from analog devices and things like that. So video games provide continuous rewards and a sense of accomplishment. They increase dopamine levels by 50 to 100%, similar to certain drugs, or even really good food. But mobile screens are even more stimulating than console games due to instant gratification and accessibility. TV watching produces less than half the dopamine of interactive screens, leading to shorter engagement and fewer dopamine hits. So we noticed our kids could watch a show on the TV, short time, and be totally fine, not breaking down and stuff. But we noticed when they were little, especially, as we started introducing video games, because I'm a big gamer and that was something I wanted to share with the kids, we noticed when we would be done, or even during the game, just a lot of trouble self-regulating their own emotions. It kind of created little monsters, and so we had to step back. At one point, even throw away a game to make a point that we're like, look, this is more important. You are more important than this entertainment or this video game. We care about you more than your little bit of entertainment. And so, and we did notice that not all devices are created equal.
When you think of a kid in today's day and age, how do you picture them? Most of you probably had an image of a kid with an iPad in their hands, right? That's because Gen Alpha is not only the youngest generation, but also the most technologically dependent one. Generation Alpha was raised by screens, whether by TV, a computer, or the infamous iPad. With almost 80% of kids owning an iPad or another version of a tablet, you can't deny the nickname that many call this generation, iPad kids.
This is what happens when mom and dad take away an iPad from 2-year-old Ashlyn Brooks. You might have heard of the term brain rot. Popularized by social media, brain rot is the term that internet users have created to describe those lacking proper socialization and are obsessed with digital content to an unhealthy level.
I would be totally disturbed. I would never let them watch YouTube again without me being there like every second.
It's supposed to help parents have some peace of mind when they let their children online to watch videos, but it seems that some of the filters aren't really working. It's the end of the world for YouTube again.
Inappropriate videos have infiltrated YouTube Kids, often showing popular children's characters in violent and even scenarios, and we've learned there is little being done about it.
Back in 2017, the media was all over one disturbing phenomenon that emerged on the internet: creepy content hidden inside kids' videos. These inappropriate videos all had bright and colorful thumbnails featuring the likeness of popular characters from Disney or Marvel. Some even had actual kids on them. From afar, they seem normal, but the more you watch them, the weirder they get. In the thumbnails, the characters are often depicted in distressing situations, crying. And that was just the surface of it all. The creators behind these videos were highly skilled at hiding their harmful motives. They carefully crafted every aspect of the video, from the thumbnail images to the video titles and tags, ensuring that everything appeared normal. It often included words like education or nursery rhymes to deceive parents into believing that these videos were suitable for their children.
Kids watching silly fun videos about Minions, Despicable Me, and then this ridiculous insanity pops up for them.
Maddie fell into a trap. The disturbing video in the suggested next video cue follows a normal, harmless video. One click, and it's down the rabbit hole.
Even the first few minutes of the videos would seem completely appropriate, but as the video played, what was on screen would change from something friendly to vulgar animations or straight up jump scares. This was definitely not meant for kids.
They may just be a video that looks like it's intended for kids, and then it goes horrible at about the 3-minute mark, and kids are like crying and super disturbed.
With so much of this content popping up, this clearly wasn't a one-off incident on YouTube Kids. Countless videos started surfacing, and that's when the strange and disturbing niche of content was given a name: ElsaGate.
So I don't know if you guys have heard about ElsaGate. If you haven't, I'm sorry that I had to be the one to inform you about it. That's just the tip of the iceberg, guys. Like, there is a lot on the internet. There's a very dark side to the internet, and it's very much targeted at your kids. Not you so much, though we're all can be exposed to those things. These things are designed to target your kids. So, know, slow, and go. So this is a framework for kind of thinking through if you are, again, the no tech, low tech is looking better every minute. But if you decide that your conviction, that you're going to go down that route, we kind of have a framework that you can look at. So 1 is no screen time for age 3. At this age, children are developing critical social, emotional, and cognitive skills. And screens can disrupt that, especially tablets and phones. As we discussed, they're not all created equal. Introduction, so the next one, slow. Introduction from ages 3 to 5 with a max of 60 minutes a day. This is the time for limited, high-quality content with clear boundaries. Not this super high dopamine, type content like Coco Melon or something like that. Like those are highly designed for maximum dopamine hits for these children. That it is very much meant. It really affects their neurological development. That goes beyond 5, guys. So let's go to the next level. It's go. Gradually increasing screen time as children get older, but always with firm limits and supervision. Even as they mature, they still need structure and guidance to make healthy tech choices. I'd be very cautious with increasing that, be very reserved, and very much everything is custom designed to your child. They don't all have the same level of maturity, and so each child is different in how they can handle this.
It's working.
There we go.
All right, there we go. Problem contributions. Tech contributes to problems with attention and focus, cognitive development, sleep disruption, and emotional regulation. Most of us know this. It does kind of bear repeating as we're coming up on the winter months and there's less to do outside. The one I notice first with our kids is emotional regulation. You can definitely see when somebody expected to get tech time and they don't. There's this internal struggle and the eyes start to water and they struggle to control themselves. My oldest has requested that we point out to you guys, it's not him, but
he's here to make sure too.
He's checking on us. But when he was little, it was him. Okay.
Next.
Right, so you do not want to use tech as a pacifier, right? If you teach your children that they need technology to calm down, like when you're in the DMV for 200 hours, you're teaching them to let tech control them. This is not self-control at all, right? And it's not that you can't use it sometimes, but it should never be in a position where the children feel like they need it. If they feel like they need it, that's when you need to not have it out.
All right. So, what is the right age for a child to have social media? So this is like a whole new level from screens. We're now going into the belly of the beast with social media. So let's look at a few stats. Porn exposure. 85% of teen girls and 69% of teen boys report seeing sexual content in their social feeds. It's not just them. If you're on Facebook or anywhere, I got on Facebook and I noticed when they added those little reels and I kept closing them and eventually they would always come back within a week. And I noticed very scantily clad or very weird videos of women, not outright naked, but suggestive. And so they're pumping this stuff to you because I don't even look at things like that on there. It was mostly like Christian memes that I get on there for, and they're pushing a narrative. They're pushing things into your feed. Suicide and depression. Suicidal thoughts in teens rose 63%, with social media users 3 times more likely to suffer from depression. Gender confusion. Guys wonder where all this gender trans stuff came from. People are like, oh, my kid is so sheltered, they're locked away. These kids may be sheltered and locked away, but they are many of them, or most of them, are very connected online. And so we see this revolution of crazy spikes. Teen gender dysphoria reports surge 4,000% with TikTok and Instagram use. When active, those have been like a huge catalyst. And it's not just those. There's Discord, there's Facebook, Twitter, X, all those things have very big communities.
A long time ago, families were in communities. They were local, they were small.
I was born in the very depths of the Great Depression. I was put to work, carrying wood, carrying water. I knew how to shell peas, I knew how to break beans. We still didn't have electricity.
I have 2 Instagram accounts.
I use Instagram, Snapchat, and TikTok.
TikTok and Fortnite. I can just scroll for hours on end.
11 hours a day.
It's been 8, 9.
Maybe like 12.
The lives of kids were sort of changing slowly for a while, and then all of a sudden, most kids were able to get on social media, and that's when everything skyrocketed.
The rates at which they're experiencing problems continues to increase.
We also know that the teen suicide rate increased 56%.
Last year alone, we received over 18 million reports of international and domestic online child sexual abuse.
We have traded a false sense of safety and security for actually putting our kids in riskier situations.
I call it the race to the bottom of the brainstem. So it starts with techniques like pull to refresh.
Pretty much every guy has like an addiction to it, but no one talks about it.
But it's just faster now, and it's younger.
Well, yeah, like nudes of girls go around to school all the time.
At the beginning of the year, there were multiple suicides before school even started.
There were men that wanted to talk to children at all hours of the day and night.
Don't be shy.
On Snapchat, one thought it'd be a funny idea to talk the other one into committing suicide, and she did it. She's dead.
After about 6 weeks, we were able to crack his phone.
Kids right now are going to experience the worst of what we're going through.
I'm a little nervous.
It's the first time.
Do you think your parents know that this happens?
No. My kid won't do that. My kid would never. My kid's school isn't like that. You're wrong.
Because what they see, they feel neurologically compelled to do.
Right now, we're effectively living in an experiment. How is this going to affect us? We'll find out.
Guys, that video is from 2020. I imagine it's much worse now. Philippians 4:8 says, "Finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, if there is any excellence, if there is anything worthy of praise, think about these things." Where does that leave social media? I mean, how many of you feel better after you've been on there? I know I don't. And there are 0 negative effects of not having a social media account. I had one. I deleted it when I want to say, I believe I was 2 or 3. No, we had kids.
Okay.
Yeah, I never wanted the account. Tim made me get it. He put one together and he goes, "Look what I made you." And I was like, "Yay." You know, but I don't miss it. Yeah, everyone was doing it. That's true. That was a good reason to do it. I don't miss it at all. I don't feel disconnected. I mean, I will say that I like Facebook Marketplace, but he still has Facebook, so I can do it that way. But it's not necessary. Next. All right, so what is the right age for social media? Just delay it, seriously, for forever. A lot of sources will recommend high school. We recommend never. And I mean that. Like, they don't need it at all. There are no benefits. No child is the best version of themselves spiritually, emotionally, or physically because of social media. It does not help your child at all. And I'm hoping that when our kids move out, they will choose not to create an account either. But that's going to be a personal decision for you guys, for your kids.
And if you need permission, here, we'll give you guys permission to not give your kids social media.
Yeah. All your kids will hate
Some
us.
people feel like they have to do it. It is an imperative for them to become a good citizen and fit in with society. But we don't really want to fit in with society, do we, guys?
All right, test their self-control. If your kids are on their game time stuff, doing whatever on screens, interrupt them. Tell them, hey, pause that game, or hey, shut it down right now. And watch how they respond to you. If they respond like obediently and quickly, they probably can handle what you're giving them. If they have a meltdown or any sort of emotional reaction, that's a cue for you that they need to take a break and maybe they need less time in the future. Right, explain why. It really helps your kids be obedient when they can see your heart behind your decisions. So if you can sit them down and go, hey, this is why we're making this decision. This is how it protects you. It helps them be obedient even if they don't agree with you. All right, moving on to diligently preventing harm, the section that you all really came for. All right, since it's not a matter of if kids will be exposed, but when, you want to have lots of conversations. 10 before 10 is an ideal target, 10 conversations before the age of 10, right? Each conversation that you have with them, you can build onto that information, right? So start with sex, and then like eventually when they're ready, move on to discussing pornography. But they need to be able to understand it thoroughly. You need to use real terms too. There are a lot of statistics on how it helps protect children if they understand the real words. So you definitely want to do that. Address sensitive topics. When you are talking about sex, pornography, gender identity, all the other types of issues we deal with today, make sure that you're sitting them down, and as you're explaining the issue, you're pointing out, this is what God's plan is, and this is what the world says. And then what's the difference between these two? What are the consequences? What's the aftermath? And I'm going to emphasize communication here, right? They need to know they can come to you with anything. You want to be their search engine. Do not let the rest of the world do that for you. Oftentimes, the reason that children don't tell their parents something is because they're protecting somebody. So you need to help your children understand too, hey, if, little Bobby Joe is showing you pictures that make you uncomfortable, it means that he needs help. And so that way they understand that them protecting their friends is actually harmful to their friends. Good pictures, bad pictures. We have both versions up here. What I love about the junior version is that it helps train children to recognize when they shouldn't see something, even without understanding sex or nudity. They do not have to understand either one of those things. And it helps them see, oh, these are the kind of things I shouldn't see. And if I do see them, this is how I'm going to react. I'm going to turn my face away really fast, and I'm going to go run and tell mom and dad. And I'll be honest, I haven't looked through the other version a whole lot, but it's kind of geared towards teens. But whenever we're done, if you guys want to come up and go through the resources, we also have a printout that just has like a lot of references and resource we listed you can take home. Next.
If whoever first come, we only got 2 copies, but you guys can borrow them and stuff. So my part, okay. Monitor and filter devices, right? So while it's not foolproof, it's definitely good to have those guardrails. Again, everything's trying to get in. So if you're, even for yourself, online, these are good basic things to have. So filter and monitor your router and all internet connected devices, and set up parental controls for each app, game store, app store, messenger, etc. And I actually learned a little bit. Cody kind of taught me some stuff recently about this stuff. So.
Yes. All right, so the place where tech is used has a huge impact on how it gets used. You do not want your kids on devices on the school bus, not at grandma's house. Grandma goes to bed at 6 p.m. Your kids are up for several more hours, right? And not in the bedroom, not in the dark, not in the bathroom, right? So the toxic trio is darkness, bedrooms, boredom. Nobody makes better tech decisions in those situations. I can tell you, I myself, when I can't sleep and I'm in the bedroom and it's dark and I'm bored because my brain just won't shut off, I'll get on my phone and I'll play this little grocery bagging game. It's called Bag It. It's a lot of fun. And it helps make me sleepy, but at the same time, it also keeps me very much awake. And I'll play that stupid game until 4 a.m. So it's not just inappropriate decisions and stuff. It's also just stupider decisions get made in those situations. So you want to keep tech in a centralized space, right? So for our house, we have an open layout, and our kitchen living room area is so well connected that those are the areas our devices stay in stuff. So when I'm cooking, dinner, I can still see the kids playing Minecraft and stuff. But along the lines of keeping them centralized, you also want to keep your tech invisible, right? It's very addictive. The more that they see it, the more they're going to want it. So if you can keep that stuff put away in drawers and instead have other things for them to gravitate towards, like books or crafts or board games, they're going to gravitate towards better decisions, and chances are you will too.
It's like me and snacks.
Yeah, he always blames me for that. All right, we're still back on the last slide. That's all right. Real rest for you and your child does not come from scrolling or watching TV. That just stresses out your brain even more and stuff. In fact, I will occasionally take a tech break. And for those of you who know me well enough, you know that my phone is always on silent and I will miss every single phone call that you make to me, and I'll check it later.
So don't call her for help if you have an emergency.
Oh, seriously. I always tell the kids, just call dad first.
Call 911.
Everyone call him first. And 911 first is probably better. But those tech breaks help me kind of reset and refresh my brain, and that's where I find real rest. In fact, I had this time where I just felt spiritually just disconnected, not just from God, but from everybody. And as I was having my Bible and prayer time, and I'm like, God, what is it that's between us right now? My phone starts going off. And I didn't fully get that message right in that moment, but I was like, okay, well, I'll just shut my phone off for a while so that way I can figure out what's going on in my head. Guess what the problem was? It was the phone. Phone was shut off. It was a wonderful 2 weeks. My mom just about lost her mind. All right, so homes are meant to be the places where, the very best of life happens, and the deepest relationships are formed. So in order to foster that kind of environment, you're going to have to make decisions that other people around you are probably not making. Mm-hmm. Now we're on to the next slide.
You might even get pushback from people that are in your circle, family, whoever. Mm-hmm. That's okay.
Yep. Your child is your responsibility, not theirs. You know what's best for them. All right, so tech in its proper place. Technology is being used in a healthy manner when it helps us to bond with real people and not celebrities and random creepy strangers. It helps us have good conversations rather than inhibiting personal conversations. It helps us build skills rather than just watching hours of mindless entertainment. You guys know those videos you feel dumber after watching? Yeah, there's a lot of those. Yeah, that thing and stuff. It should help us cultivate good stewardship too, instead of just watching the world happen around us, right? And it should be used intentionally. Tech is addictive. It will not stay in its proper place on its own. Great resource for more on creating that kind of environment is the TechWise family, which we also have on the table for you to look at. And that brings us on to advocating for change. Right, so how you can advocate for change is you can do what we're doing, not necessarily that you have to give a presentation, but talk to other parents. Tell them what you're learning about tech, tell them how you're protecting your kids, and help share that information. Promote godly tech discussions, support protective regulations and stuff whenever regulations are proposed, like, hey, these certain kind of phones need to be locked down to this level, or apps need to be locked down to this level. Support those kind of things, and be the example, guys. More than anything that Tim is about to tell you, which is all the stuff you really came here for, more than any of that, being the example to your children and discipling them is going to be your strongest defense.
All right, another video.
Parents, beware. Monsters are among us. He was arrested because he took a 13-year-old child across state lines. Police said the 13-year-old girl met Graham on Roblox.
welcome to Roblox. You might be thinking, Roblox is just a kid's game, right? Well, this kid's game is home to a massive adult player base. But when there are adults on a platform initially intended for kids, as you'll see in this video, terrible things can happen. You have Roblox games that expose kids to things even I shouldn't see. And of course, there are preds reeling in their young victims.
After a recent undercover investigation in New Jersey netted 24 arrests, accused sexual predators using some of the world's most popular games like Fortnite and Minecraft to prey on teens, all charged with second-degree child luring. This year, with over 125 million players logging onto Fortnite and more than 250 million copies of Minecraft sold, experts say virtual worlds are becoming playgrounds where predators can easily blend in.
It's scary because, he's right there and I'm not really paying attention to it. And obviously I should be.
Experts say parents should not only talk to their children about the dangers, but also set some ground rules about playing online. Never share personal information or photos. Only play with people you know in real life. Only allow gameplay in a room where parents can overhear and never behind closed doors. And disable chat functions whenever possible.
Okay, so securing family tech. Clearly, there's a lot. There's a lot out there, and guys, we could have sat here for hours and hours and watched stuff like that about the different. It's overwhelming. I'm in tech, and there's stuff that I've learned through this, and it's just like crazy. And the crazy, it's even that is the tip of the iceberg. It's constantly evolving and changing. So here are some things that we can do to help. Okay, this is like the tech side of this, right? So what can we do practically speaking with our technology? So number one, if we all probably have a Wi-Fi router in our house. All your devices connect to that thing. So you're going to want to put DNS filtering on it. It's very simple. It's not too crazy. And then you have securing devices with parental controls, hardware solutions, gaming and social media safety, search engines and content control, and eternal vigilance. Just sprinkle some of that on there. I mean, yeah, the price of our children's purity and innocence is eternal vigilance. It just takes a moment. And of course, we're trying to prepare them for that moment to reduce the damage and help them navigate it well. So the big picture is online risks and exposure. Every device is a gateway. Phones, tablets, gaming consoles, smart TVs, etc. All these can access harmful content. Social media is everywhere. When you think of social media, you think of Instagram and Facebook. However, every game console and app is like its own social network, exposing children to chat, messaging, interactions with strangers. Cody actually was the one that told me Fortnite actually has its own built-in, like you could secure your Xbox, but when you open Fortnite, it's like its own social network. It has messaging, online play, whole levels and tons of different games in there. And they have parental controls now, which, so it sounds like they're trying to work towards it. As the video we just watched said, shut down, mute if your kid is playing games, first go into those settings and lock down, shut down chat, messaging, all the social features. I even do that myself because I've gotten on games and someone just randomly starts talking and I'm like, don't like that. And I'll just lock it down. It's usually like some 13-year-old just swearing up a storm. So DNS filtering, your first defense. Why DNS filtering? It blocks inappropriate content at the network level for all connected devices. I recommend cleanbrowsing.org. It's free and reliable, and they do have, you could upgrade to get some more features and stuff if you want. And what's also good about it, so your whatever DNS filter, so what it is you put, if you guys want to know the technical details of this, you have your router. On the back of your router, there's a login. It tells you the address. You go to your browser, you put the address in, it gives you a name and password. You log into that, and then if you go to cleanbrowsing.org, it'll tell you how to do this, but you just change 2 numbers in there. You save and you're done. Now, all of a sudden, all your traffic is being filtered through that device. What's also good is it enforces safe search on Google and Bing, and it also puts YouTube into restricted mode, and they block things like just flat out like Reddit and certain things. So here's a graphic that kind of help. All right. So here's your router, right? Your home router. All your laptops, your computers, they hook up to that through the Wi-Fi or directly if you're using Ethernet. But mobile devices, same deal, and your Kindle and other devices. So your smart toaster that has the web browser on it, that also is going to go through there. So you never know. Like Chuck said, that they didn't even know the kid was getting on the internet with his old phone. So you want to lock all of that down. However, what happens if Billy takes his Kindle or whatever device over to Jimmy's house, his router? Well, you might have clean browsing on yours, protecting your network from the internet, but when that phone gets switched over to cell service, it's no longer using your router. It's using cell service, which is unfiltered. So that's a good thing to keep in mind. And then, if they go to Jimmy's house or Billy's house, it's likely, it's possible that they're not using it either. So what do you do in those cases? You want to secure the actual devices. It's good to have your network locked down, but you also want to install parental software like Qustodio. So search engines. So one thing I noticed, and I mentioned earlier that I was during my research kept getting exposed. And what happened was I was testing these search engines. They have safe search and different stuff. And your number one workaround for your filtering and stuff is search engines. They have an images tab. All you have to do, and I don't recommend this obviously, but if you type in anything even remotely related to women or pornography or whatever, it will give you porn. And even sometimes it gets past their own safe search. But the safe search has gotten a lot better at Google and Bing. DuckDuckGo and Brave and some of these privacy-focused search engines are the worst. Their web filtering cannot be forced to stay on. And even though they say it can, it's very unreliable. So I recommend just full-sale blocking these on your network because they are full-on workarounds. And what's good about having that clean browsing on your computer or the Qustodio software on the phone, it'll force safe search on Bing and Google. Reddit is a massive platform for porn, and it's obviously a very toxic culture online as well. Nothing good has ever come out of Reddit. I just found out about FreeSpoke. So they don't even have safe search. They don't even need it because by default, all of it is safe search. There's no ability to turn it off and find explicit images. So freespoke.com, I definitely recommend make that your default search engine. That Google or Bing, if you are you locking them down? And just to check, you can check to make sure that safe search is enabled by just going in to Google Images and then check your settings. And if it lets you turn it off, then that means that it's not forced on. Okay, securing devices, control screen time and content. Qustodio is an app you can install. It supports Windows, Mac, iPhone, iPads, Android, Chromebooks. It had one of the widest amounts of support for different devices. So I was looking for kind of an all-in-one, and it's very reliable. It locks down some of these different things, though you do have to go in and kind of customize it to block those other search engines and things like that. But that was the best all-in-one. Go ahead.
It's worth noting here that reliable does not mean you should turn your back on it.
Definitely.
Ever.
Right. Yeah, these are kind of some guardrails, but you need to be engaged. And What I like about Qustodio too is it gives me reports. And every day I get emails for each of our kids, and it tells me Levi was on Minecraft yesterday for 50 minutes. And Sophie was on, Minecraft or whatever, and Liam. So I can see what they search for, how long they're spending on the screen time, and all that kind of stuff. So it helps me have conversations with them and stay engaged. So Bark is one that I hear about a lot. I did test it. It doesn't work well on iPhones. So if you have an Android, maybe. But again, Qustodio is kind of my default. Bark is for what they do well is the social media thing. So if you want to go into the belly of the beast, Bark integrates with all those different platforms that lets you see their messaging. They've got AI stuff to help detect harmful things happening. So that's useful there. But Qustodio is just more practical, I think. It's almost, you kind of need both. But Bark does advertise that they do the same stuff as Qustodio. All right, so gaming safety. So that video did offer some good points. I recommend offline gaming if at all possible. We've got a Super Nintendo. We've got an N64. I try to keep our kids as analog as possible. Though they do like to play Minecraft, I like Minecraft. Clearly, as we watch, there can be risks in each of these virtual worlds because many of them are open to the internet, where people can pop in and out, and you can easily get online. So you really need to be the expert. There's a 7-day rule where before introducing your kid to any game or app, you are the one that you test it out for 7 days. You try it out, see what the algorithm or whatever, see what online features or messenger. You don't just give it to them and hope for the best. You really need to engage with it.
Yeah, and test it out as if you are the child, right? Like, I am 5 years old and I'm using this app, because that's how you're really going to see what's in it.
Yeah, researchers have signed up on these social media platforms. If you sign up and say you're 50, you're going to get a whole different experience, a whole different world than if you say you're 5. People have signed up as like an 8-year-old girl. They start instantly getting DMs from strangers and perverts and stuff. In their feed, I've even seen researchers show that the feed gets more and more depraved as they're looking at content. So it's constantly, it's a mess. So if online, limit to known friends. So Levi, when he's on Minecraft, all he can see are his friends. And these are people that he knows personally and that we know. And so they're the only ones he can play online with and stuff. We have, with our kids, they get 1 day a week. They get, 45 minutes? What are you at now?
Well, we just bumped him up to 2 hours.
It used to be half an hour, 45 minutes. What'd you say?
2 hours as
Whoa,
of Friday.
Okay.
I thought
2
we
hours,
talked about
all right.
that. I'm pretty sure we
Wow. Yeah. So every game is a social network. Games like Fortnite and Roblox are more than just games. They're social media platforms with built-in chat messaging. So again, try to disable chat and be engaged with it. And no headphones. Avoid unmonitored conversations by banning the use of headphones as much as possible. When they're in the family area, you want to be able to hear what they're talking about and be open.
Even if it's very annoying, sometimes it is.
So social media monitoring, Bark is the best tool for this. Qustodio has some social monitoring. It's not as good, but review reports regularly, stay informed. You might be tempted, as you get a lot of those, but that's really good for you to have that steady stream of reports and being able to have conversations. Hardware solutions. Okay, so some of you guys might be like, well, can't I just buy like a router that already has this done, or a phone? Yes, they've actually recently released the Griffin router, which is actually super nice and very affordable. And it has more features, like when someone tries to join, you give them approval. And it gives you more like monitoring over your whole network and reports, and lets you lock down things more granularly. And then you have the Brave, so that's your Wi-Fi router. And then you've got Brave, Pinwheel, and Gab phones. So they've got, basically it's a very limited version of a phone at the operating system level. Instead of installing Qustodio or something like that, though those are locked down and great, these phones are just designed for this and very locked down. So I think Pinwheel I looked at and the phone was like $99 and then it's like $20 a month. So it's not crazy. So those are some options. Of course, you know, your old devices they're totally fine. You can do Qustodio, it'll lock down to where only you can remove it and it requires a password. And on your router, you can just set up the DNS.
When you say old devices, you mean just like anything before that? Or anything?
When I say old devices, I mean the router that's sitting in your house right now, or the phone that you want to use and stuff. So, locking problematic sites, block problematic platforms, completely block Reddit, Discord, and other messaging apps. They're difficult to monitor for appropriate content. They're difficult to block or filter, and they're full of porn and extreme content. Use DNS filtering, again, use cleanbrowsing.org, and we have a resource sheet. I don't know if everyone got one. But it also has these slides. So you'll have the whole slide deck link in there. All right, dealing with workarounds. So, right, we set up these things, but there are plenty of workarounds. You can't put your faith even in the best parental software. Always be vigilant, always be engaged, always be having conversations and preparing your kids. And, you know, so VPNs, a VPN is a virtual private network that someone can connect to, and it completely circumvents your DNS and stuff like that. So parental software actually can kind of block kids from installing those apps, but again, there are workarounds. So ensure your app installation is locked down and monitor for unauthorized devices and installs. And you can actually do that through the built-in screen time app. So they can work around it with incognito modes, but Qustodio, again, helps there. And unmonitored apps like Discord, you know, you want to lock and disable those. So I believe this is the final step, action steps for parents. Set up DNS filtering, use Qustodio, gaming safety, lock it down, limit it, block dangerous platforms, handle workarounds, and you have some hardware options if you want. All right, so now we're at the Q&A. So we're here for you guys. So we've tried to like cover all of our bases as much as possible. But does anyone have questions? You know, that's what we really want to help. And also, I don't know if my email's up there, but it's on the resource sheet. So feel free to email me or catch me or grab my phone number, but I'm happy to assist if you need help with your router or if you have questions. I'm happy to hop on a call. But yeah, does anyone have any questions?
Are VPNs just a no-no in general, or is that a good thing to have? Is there something that you can use to still have that?
So a VPN is kind of a big marketing thing right now where everyone's trying to sell a VPN service. It's supposed to lock down your internet, but really you're trusting whoever's giving you the VPN. So there's a lot of government agencies involved with a lot of these, and so you're actually you're passing all of your internet traffic through someone else, and you're trusting that they're not logging it and scraping your information as you're using their pipeline, essentially. So there's a trust level, and also you can't really filter it, so it's totally unfiltered internet access.
Doesn't that prevent any of your data from being spread from a much larger population of people?
So your ISP is usually who you're going through. One of the things by using clean browsing, a better DNS, you're actually going around your ISP. So we have Charter, all of our traffic goes through them, but when we change our DNS, they don't know as much about our traffic and what we're doing and stuff like that. So really the DNS is almost more powerful than a VPN. Yeah.
But the VPN, can't they go to, can't they go online, like Google, and put in a VPN and do it that way?
So a VPN has to be installed on the actual device. So if you have like Qustodio, every time the kids open a new app, I get an email that says, hey, they just opened Microsoft Word or Minecraft or whatever. So when a new app shows up, I'll get a notification. So if they install a VPN app, it'll say, hey, Bobby just installed a VPN app. And so, because I have Qustodio on there. But if I don't, then if I don't have it locked down at all, and I'm just using like the network router, there's that's why we do multi-layer approach. But yeah, so they could circumvent it using that VPN.
Okay. And I just realized in the last couple months that we had a no social media policy at our house, other than kids messenger, Facebook messenger, because we could approve their friends. But I didn't realize. So if you have a family share, like on iPhone, our daughter had downloaded Snapchat because we had downloaded it in the past. And it didn't ask permission because she was using our shared plan. So she would log out of her iTunes account, log into the family shared iTunes, and she could download it that way. And then she would just delete it and add it and delete and add and delete and add. And you would never know. Because if we went to her iTunes, it never showed that it was added. It was always, it would always be like download instead of reinstall. Yeah. And we're like, well, I don't know how she's doing it. But the other kids ratted, and thankfully. And I don't like rats, but hey, it helps every once in a while. So anyways.
No, thank you for sharing that. That's exactly what I'm talking about. There are so many little workarounds and things that even, kids can find even unwittingly. They're really good at thinking differently and sometimes unwittingly finding workarounds, or intentionally or unintentionally. But like with Snapchat, I didn't even bring that up because it's as bad as or worse than TikTok. It's really, really bad. But on that note, you were using screen time. That's why screen time is good to have. But I recommend, you can actually set up screen time and have Qustodio on top of that. So that give you that extra layer. Okay. So if you have an Android, set up the default child account, monitoring stuff, but definitely don't fully trust Google or Apple to do, to be good at protecting kids.
So if you don't have a family share plan, then you can still use the Qustodio if you don't have parental control.
Yeah, if you had an adult device. What's that?
We have too many devices for the family share stuff.
I think it's unlimited for the account.
Not with iTunes.
Oh, yeah.
But the Qustodio you can use without the parental controls on the phones.
As just like a monitor?
Yeah, just separately from the parental control, the screen time stuff.
Yes, you don't have to. Yeah, you can have your screen time off, and you can install Qustodio. Okay. And it can lock down and do a lot of the similar things, but you can almost do both too. So you have the family sharing on top. Christine?
You kind of know the history of difficulties that we've gone through with our kids. And it's made us very, very reluctant to do any type of internet or anything. So I guess my question is there a detriment to delay tech at a certain age? Because I know they're going to need tech at certain points. So at what age would you say we need to start introducing it? Obviously with a lot of monitoring, but to where it's not going to impair their ability in jobs and things later?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think that's what makes it so challenging to not just say no tech. Our boys, I work in tech, so I wanted to teach them that's my career, that's my skill set. I wanted to teach them what I do, so if they want to do that as an option. So what I did was I basically locked down the computer. If they need a website, I would go on there to the website. If they need to download an app, I would literally be the one to install the app. If they wanted a YouTube video that's going to teach them how to do something, I would go look up the YouTube video and then pull it up on the screen for them. So it's a lot of work to do that, but it's worth it, you know? So if you're gonna do it, it's not like an unfed, I'm not saying put the parental control and just unleash them. There's a lot of rules and a lot of looking over the shoulder and being involved. And, you know, if you don't have the capacity to do that, you're better off not giving them tech, not giving them internet, but you can still give them a laptop. You can so if they want to learn to program, you can install the programming software, you can download maybe some videos for them to watch, and they can do it all offline. So they can kind of get some of those tech skills. And if you delay past that to when they're older, they can always go LCTC or some local, you know, computer classes or something like that, and they can learn that skill later. I don't think it's going to ruin their lives and stuff.
Whatever they learn now is going to be completely different in 10 years.
Right. Yeah, that's true. That's true. It's probably truer now than it's ever been in this moment, as tech is just rapidly changing. And I'm a software engineer, and I'm seeing AI do my job, which we software engineers always thought we'd be the last to be replaced, and we're like the first ones. The irony is hilarious, right? We replaced ourselves.
Christine, does that answer your question?
Yeah, it's a bit nuanced, but do follow your conviction. Don't listen to us. We're sharing kind of our experience, and we don't know what the results of our what we're doing are yet. And we're trying to be faithful to the Lord and extremely careful in everything we do.
I was just going to say along that line, kids are delayed, dopamine hits and the development of the brain. As the earlier they are, obviously the more damaging it is because their brains are still developing. But introducing tech later is just going to naturally be a lot better for the kid because that if they do see something that they're not supposed to later on, it's not going to be as damaging to their pathways as it is when they're younger. So
yeah,
Tim,
exactly.
I've got a question.
So one of the examples I was given in there was 10 conversations before 10. Aside from technology, what are some other conversations, I guess if y'all can speak to that need to be had before 10?
You were in youth ministry and stuff. I feel like you could probably tell us, you know, you have a lot more like boots on the ground experience with the craziness of teens and what they're experiencing more than, you know, we're just entering the teen phase right now. And
with YouTube and media and everything we all see it all day long, right? We know what the cultural issues are. I'd say anything that is a prominent cultural issue and anything that is contrary to God's word. And sure, when they're 10 years old, they might not understand pornography and stuff, but they should at least understand sex in a biblical setting. This is where it's meant to be. This is where it's not meant to be and stuff. But outside of that,
this is a really good tool for having these.
So good.
Sophie would read this just for fun. It's just in her bookshelf, and you look at this.
Yeah,
some pictures are good, but some pictures are not good. They're bad for you. And then it says, bad pictures show the private parts of the body that we cover with a swimsuit. These parts are meant to be kept private. And it says, every part of your body is good, including your private parts, but taking pictures of them is not good. When people show pictures of private parts, they aren't private anymore. It's important to keep private parts private. And then it says, it goes into screens, and it goes into kind of what to do. And there's these little Easter eggs in there for them to look for as you're reading. And they're like, oh, I found a camera, that kind of thing. So our kids, do you still remember when we read this with you? So he still remembers it. That was almost 10 years ago now. So, yeah. And so Sophie will reference it every once in a while and stuff too. So I can't recommend the Good Pictures, Bad Pictures Junior enough. And the teen one even goes it's deeper and good as well. So, I think that's a really good tool for those conversations. And that kind of would cover a lot of things. But I'm just curious if you had any thoughts as well that you'd like to share. You're just asking.
I was just asking. I mean, I can always share anecdotes and things like that. I mean, for example, when I was, it was in 2018 when the Bible app was, when we had talked about this as you were preparing, there were some parents that were talking about how great it was that their kids were spending literally hours every day in the Bible app. And you guys may have heard about this, but what was happening is that there was a whole social network of kids from a whole local high school that were all uploading pictures and nudes in the Bible app. And so it'd be like, hey, man, you need to go check out 2 Kings 9:6, and so they go and they check it out, and it's a picture of some girl in their high school that's nude. And those were the things that were being, like, kids are going to figure out workarounds, and that's why, as parents, I think one of the good principles for us to even take away from this is that these are tools and resources to protect our children, but more important than even the tools and resources is addressing the heart. If we address the heart and not the behavior, then we've missed the point. And so I guess that's a challenge even to myself of addressing the heart. And, because ultimately that's why we're here. We're here to talk about protecting their hearts, and so, and it can have a lasting detrimental impact. There was a young man here in his early 20s who he was dumb, and he shared some pictures of himself to someone that he was talking to on online, and then that person turned out not to be the same person that they thought they were talking to, and totally was trying to blackmail him. It cost him thousands of dollars because he took the blackmail, and then he kind of goes, "Hey, Cody, this is what happened." And there's horror stories like that over and over and over and over again. All we can do is trust the Lord, address the heart, and seek Him to do the rest. These are really wonderful resources. Any other questions? Thanks.
Yeah, it comes to having the tools, but 100% addressing the heart. We have to clearly address the behavior, but it's primarily seeing that behavior is a symptom of the heart that we haven't addressed. And sometimes it may require surgery and large amounts of time and long conversations over a long period of time to kind of undo some of the damage that we haven't been aware of, building accountability with our kids, and stuff like that. So there's a lot of work to be done. And so if you are in a reactive phase, like we let Pandora out of the box and now we're just scrambling, some people become so defeated. But if you need permission, there's nothing wrong with taking it away. For some reason, people feel like, well, they already have it and I don't want to. It's like taking the heroin away from the addict is not. That's an extreme example, maybe. I don't know. For some people, it seems worse than that, maybe even. But you have to sometimes, you got to do whatever it takes for your kid. And you got to get in there and. So do we have any more questions? Thoughts?
Is there a program we can start out to do this? What do you mean?
A program?
That's not what you're thinking. That's like an app program.
No, we all as parents, we all have our own program. And I think that, again, I don't think that necessarily a program would solve that. I think it's us all as individual parents working in our household, praying together, studying the Bible together, doing, good pictures, bad pictures, junior together, and just building up kids that are more resistant to these things and know how to react. Because they're going to be exposed to it and they're going to be in these situations. So we just need to be involved and really invest. What's up?
Are we done?
Are we done?
I don't know, Cody.
Does anyone have anything to add? Yes, so clean browsing by default, the free filter has it just blocked. And I even block TikTok on our network and stuff. So if you come over and you're doing TikTok and you connect to my Wi-Fi, all of a sudden it's going to just start buffering and it's not going to load anything because I've got it blocked on our network. But it's on the router, yeah. So if you get off of my Wi-Fi, then you're going to be, unless you have something installed on your phone. So yeah, so you can block it on your router level. Yep.
I think, and I do want to thank Tim and Sarah. I know that you guys spent a lot of time and a lot of hard work on this. I know it's been very beneficial for me, and I know it's going to be a blessing to my family, and I hope that was the same way to you guys. If y'all have questions specifically, like, if you're not the strongest techie, and you're like, what is a DNS? What is a VPN? And all those kind of things. I know that at least Tim would be able to. I don't know if Sarah, you know any of that stuff? Okay.
I have no idea what the whole second half of this was about. I'm probably more clueless than the rest of you, which is why I married him. And if he dies, I'm going back to being Amish.
But I'm sure that Tim would be more than happy to walk you through on how to set up your network in order to guarantee to the best of your abilities that your children are safe and have the proper filters and things like that. Of course, I don't want to speak for him, but I also know him pretty well. So anyways, thank you guys very much.
A pleasure.